everyone, it's Kale from Scud Style, and today I'm going to be bringing another ASMR video, this time trying the soft speaking as opposed to whispering. And today what I thought would be cool would be a little bit of a ASMR short story time with a couple different stories that are more like parables, kind of bring up very relevant situations, cultural and societal paradigms that are challenged through it. Just two stories that I really like, and I thought that I would read each of them and then also discuss a little bit about my thoughts on them and how maybe they relate to me. So the first one that I'm going to read out of the two is the story of the Mexican fisherman and the banker. So I hope you enjoy. An American investment banker was taking a much-needed vacation in a small coastal Mexican village when a small boat with just one fisherman docked. The boat had several large fresh fish in it. The investment banker was impressed by the quality of the fish and asked the Mexican how long it took to catch them. The Mexican replied, "Only a little while." The banker then asked why he didn't stay out longer and catch more fish. The Mexican fisherman replied that he had enough to support his family's immediate needs. The American then asked, "But what do you do with the rest of your time?" The Mexican fisherman replied, "I sleep late, fish a little, play with my children, take a siesta with my wife, stroll into the village each evening where I sip wine and play guitar with my amigos. I have a full and busy life, senor." The investment banker scoffed. "I am an Ivy League MBA, and I could help you. You could spend more time fishing and with the proceeds buy a bigger boat. And with the proceeds from the bigger boat, you could buy several boats until eventually you would have a whole fleet of fishing boats. Instead of selling your catch to the middleman, you could sell directly to the processor, eventually opening your own cannery. You could control the product, processing, and distribution." Then he added, "Of course, you would need to leave this small coastal fishing village and move to Mexico City, where you would run your growing enterprise." The Mexican fisherman asked, "But senor, how long will this all take?" To which the American replied, 15 to 20 years. "But then what?" asked the Mexican. The American laughed and said, "That's the best part. When the time is right, you would announce an IPO and sell your company's stock to the public and become very rich. You could make millions." "Millions, senor? Then what?" To which the investment banker replied, "Then you could retire. You could move to a small coastal fishing village where you would sleep late, fish a little, play with your kids, take a siesta with your wife, stroll to the village in the evenings where you could sip wine and play your guitar with your amigos." Fin. So I'm not sure how popular this story really is. I've come across it a couple times, and the first time I heard it I really liked it. Basically, my interpretation is that it's about the need for more, the incessant need that we tend to have for more and how what we have is never, ever, ever enough. So, in this parable, the Mexican fisherman has enough right from the onset. Has enough in the small picture of just the fish he has for the catch, and also has enough in his full and busy life that he leads, with the relationships with his family and his friends and the things he likes to do and the fishing and the guitar and the children and the wife and the friends and the wine. But the point of all that is that those are the bare bones of the experience that are what's most important to him. He has held on to the important things in his life and totally let go with the superfluous things, trivial matters, the working hard for status, for ego, for an Ivy League degree. For working hard for the pursuit of more. Because he realizes at the core that for him, more is not better. And in a lot of cases, more and the pursuit of more takes away from what you have right now at the core of the things you love. The core of the things that he loves in this story. He would have gotten to spend less time doing those things that fulfilled him and made him happy by pursuing more and kind of delaying his happiness and his ability to be present and to spend his time with people that he loved and doing things that he loved. The idea of retirement. And that's when you'll live your life. That's when you have permission to do what you could be doing right now with less. It's food for thought there. It's food for thought for me, of course. It's like the time-money trade-off that we all engage in some level. Do we really need to be trading more and more hours to make more and more money, to buy bigger homes, bigger cars, faster cars, boats, fancy wardrobes, designer clothes, gizmos, gadgets, toys? Are those in and of themselves what we want, or are they a means of achieving what we think we really want? How much of what we want is tied into status and ego and vanity, and if we were truly honest with ourselves, what is the thing that we desire from those things? What is what we truly desire that we are using those things as a vehicle towards? Because a lot of times the vehicle is much more costly than actually getting the thing. It takes much more effort, much more time, much more heartache. That's kind of my main thought on the Mexican fisherman. And it takes a lot of being very honest with yourself. Can you be self-aware enough to recognize what it is that you most desire? And can you give up all those other things that everyone else says you should desire? Because why? Why do you want them? So, that's a little food for thought on that one, and something I've been thinking about for myself a lot. The second story is called The Elephant Rope. As a man was passing the elephants, he suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope tied to their front leg. no chains, no cages. It was obvious that the elephants could, at any time, break away from their bonds, but for some reason they did not. He saw a trainer nearby and asked why these animals just stood there and made no attempt to get away. Well, the trainer said, when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to tie them, and, at that age, it's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. The man was amazed. These animals could at any time break free from their bonds, but because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck right where they were. Like the elephants, how many of us go through life hanging on to a belief that we cannot do something, simply because we failed at it once before? Now, I really like this story because it's so applicable to large groups of people, and it also ties in a lot of ways to the Mexican fisherman story and how we're kind of conditioned to want more and more and more and more. Many of us live in a very capitalistic, consumer-based, consumer-driven society where it's advantageous for a lot of other people for us to have that belief distilled into us to want more and more and more. And almost like you get trapped in the consuming cycle because you pay for stuff before you even have the money to fully pay for it. And then you're trapped into that cycle of consumption, production, consumption, production, consumption. And to be able to consume as much as you consume and have taken on and committed to, you have to produce at least that much, and those terms can change. And we end up having to produce so much and give up so much of our time and our energy, and sometimes even our moral standing and our beliefs and a bit of our personalities as well. They don't call it a soul-sucking job or career from time to time for, those are the ones where people really don't fit, and they've really made kind of a raw deal with how much they've agreed to produce to live up to what they've already committed to consuming. So I think this is a really interesting story because it's in so many people's favor for consumption to continue and getting people to commit to that consumption. That conditioning is kind of in place at an early age, and that's why when people are starting to wake up a little bit and realize, hey, once they're able to recognize what it is that they want, what are the core things that they really desire, and how much of the other things do they need to consume to get that, or how much after what they desire are they consuming as extra, and that's just a pure production trade-off when they're producing something they don't really care about or that is taxing to them. Sometimes even worse than that. And that's kind of the, at any time the elephant could realize, at any time the elephant could wake up and break free effortlessly at that age. Effortlessly. That little rope cannot hold us. And so I think it's great if we all just keep trying and keep experimenting and keep thinking for ourselves and keep asking questions and testing the limits of what we're told is right, what we're told is good, what we're told is responsible, or what a good citizen would do, and start to think. Start to create for ourselves and be ourselves and not apologize for that. Thank you all. Good night.